Right, top camera. I've cleaned out all the glue I need to clean there, and that will go down as far as it used to go down 128 years ago. Let me just push that down. You see it'll go down that far, and I'll hold it together. And that's as far as it goes down, and the rest was fillers in it. So it now does that. There's no movement this way because the strut is here, not there. Strut is here, and it's solid, and it doesn't let the guitar, doesn't let the mandolin move. But as you can see from there in this corner, there's a gap, and this has shrunk dry over the years because it's ultra thin. You can see it's hand carved, ultra thin body. So it's shrunk. So when I put this back together again, there's an edge coming out round it. And so that's going to show. I still haven't considered a cure for that. So that's a job I'm going to have to do. Now, I'm tempted when I go to do this, because that's the only area that will glue. You see that area where my thumb is? That's the only area of glue. So I'm tempted to put in slivers of wood in there. I'll color them later on just to give me the possibility of using tight bond on both sides of that wood, which will hold it. But as you can see, this is glued to the strut well. The top's very well glued to the strut, and the strut. No, sorry, I'm wrong. The strut's glued to this, so this goes down and holds it. The strut's glued to that part, and this goes down and holds it. But I don't trust the idea of putting filler in there and just depending on filler to hold it. So it's going to have maybe a couple of bits of wood. Now, what I'm doing now, I haven't done that yet, but what I'm doing now is I'm taking off the back, and I've loosened one screw so far, just as a trial, as a test. Let me just see, yeah, there. I've loosened one screw, and as you can see, it's just an ordinary screw, but very, very old. But loosening one screw has made that all loose. So I'm going to strip this guitar now. And I want to try to keep all these and keep it original. Is that brass or copper? I think it's brass and copper. It needs cleaned up. That might be an Irishism. It needs cleaned up. Or is that an Englishism where they say it needs cleaning? Sitting here thinking about who was the last person to screw this in, and they haven't been taken out since the manufacture. So thinking about somebody probably working by candlelight making this. I could be wrong, but I think electricity was not quite everywhere around the 1890s. Out. I can't tell what type of wood it is. It's in good condition. It's just corroded. It's not a great piece of work because there's some very fancy tuners that they used to have. Now I'm hoping I don't have to take that out, but I am going to take this off, this piece at the end, because I'm going to have to take it off anyway to replace this decorative piece that covers the strings, and it covers the strings to stop your hand getting ripped to shreds. And I want this off too when I'm doing some gluing and things like that, so it doesn't hold it off in the wrong place. Now that's turning. There we go. That's just a little bit of brass. And the screw. Screws are pretty rotten. I may have to replace the screws, so I don't want to, but I think I may have to. That looks okay. And that looks okay too. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to put some heat on this to take this off. And I've also discovered that this, you see behind it, that's paper too. That's paper, so they stuck these down onto paper. Can't figure out why they would do that, but they've done it, so I got a feeling that might help, because I'll probably use super glue to put the new ones on. I've ordered mother of pearl, and I'm going to make each one mother of pearl, but I need some heat for that to take that off, because I don't want it damaged, and it's going to come off. Let me just see how bad it is. Oh, maybe it'll just fall off. Let me use an ultra big screwdriver, because this is a really cheap version of the old one. I'm going to do the body, and I'm going to make this as light as possible, because I see that this would be, it's on paper as well, as you'll see in a second. I would say that this would be a contrasting piece. Well, ain't that interesting? There's gold foil there. Let me just look with my glasses. There's some gold foil there underneath it. What would that be now? Somebody's tried to glue it with a new type of glue. So why is there gold foil? Is the gold foil off this? Was that on the back of this to give it a gold sheen through it? Probably. So that, yeah, that was on the back of this. So it depends on how well that cleans up. If it'll clean up easy, I'll put gold foil on it before I put it back down again. But there's the wood. There's the color of the wood. There. The natural wood. So I imagine that would be that color. And then you'd have this contrasting piece sitting on top of the natural wood, and that acting as a contrast. So that's been carved out of it. It's not just sitting on top of it. It's actually sitting inside it. So we'll have to make sure that this piece that I have in my hand, which looks like it's expanded. Oh no, the wood would have shrunk every way. So this is not fitting inside it anymore. So I'm going to have to do something to maybe trim it and manipulate it and get it in again. It's not far out, mind you. Not far out. So that's interesting. Take good care of that. And that's it stripped down. And I think the next thing I'll do will be this. It will be that. Okay. What a pain in the ass this was. This is the camera going inside the body, but it's made of that really stiff wire, and if you pull it hard, it comes out of the Wi-Fi sender. So I've had to screw it down fairly firm without cracking the plastic. Now I can move it about without it coming out of the plug and everything. What a pain. So the next thing you'll see will be the inside of this, but the quality is pretty poor. I did tell you it was lousy, wasn't it? And I bought that specially to go inside. This is the side with the large crack in the side. And I see a lot of old glue with dust on it, and that shiny stuff is new glue. But I still think that new glue is about 60 years old, so it's not that new. Now, we're talking about the inside. I wanted to see the struts. There's one of the struts beside the crack. And that's the bend where the black mark is. I presume they applied heat to make the bend. And this is a little bit shaky, but I did it deliberately so that I could see what's going on. Good amount of glue there between the body and the rest of it. And this is the front strut, which looks pretty well glued as well, but they used a lot of glue. And I'm beginning to think that maybe the paper was to stop the glue from coming through onto the body. But as you see coming up, you'll see long drips coming from the top down. And so the paper didn't do much good there. That's moving along towards the front. Very shaky hands, but the strut's well attached, which is the most important thing. And there's a long drip of glue coming down, just like the other one. There's 2 or 3 of those. There's another one there, which is not the one, and this is now the one we looked at the original start, which looks like a snake, or it looks like a piece of iron with it's being tied down with nylon, which is what I thought, but that's just a drip of glue that's broken up over the years. And now we're looking at the other side of the strut. This doesn't go on too often, so that paper wrapped around the strut, and then there's that shot of the glue again, which fascinates me. But we're going round to the front now and have a good look at the front of the neck to see how the neck's attached to the body. And zoom, there we go. Right, oh, that's it sideways looking. That's the top on the left, and now it's going to revert back up to the top again. Now that's the top of the guitar, and that's where the neck is joined. And you can see there's a little shim there at the side, and lots of glue. They used a lot of glue. I presume they didn't trust the strength of the glue. And then there's a bend at the front, and then there's that bit of snottery glue again. And I think we're coming up near the end now, but I needed to see this, and I didn't include me looking at the other side, but the other side didn't have any problems, so there we go. All right. This gives you an idea how messy the bench can get. Now that's what it's like when you get a messy desk and you have to do things. I'm going to glue now this crack, and I'm going to take no chances. I'm going to put some glue in some of the places that are not showing any movement. Let me just put my other glasses on. Bloody hell. Get my eyes done, but it costs £5,000. So that's the only one that's moving. Now what I haven't got clamps that are big enough to go over it and go down each side. So I've had to use my trestle. This is the trestle I use for holding guitars on their side when I'm working on them. So my intention is to slather glue down in there and then some other little cracks, and then tighten this, and then use this to get the real pressure on it. And I've had to put 2 screws on it because at the angle it would slip up. So I've got sponges down there, and I've got little bits of leather between the body of the mandolin and the sponge. So all I'm going to do now is squeeze in some glue into the crack the whole way down. It's pretty open at the moment. Let me just open it a bit more. That's all the pressure taken off it, and I'm gonna get it in there. This is my favorite glue. It's the Titebond 3X. 3X, oh, not 3X. What's it called, Austin? It's Titebond 3. Titebond 3. Now, as I've said to you all the time, if you're going to do something like this, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse. And I have rehearsed, and I think I'm covered for all contingencies, but you can't be sure. But if you rehearse a lot, then you'll know that you have provisions in store. And when I say rehearse, rehearse how the clamping goes, rehearse how the glue is going to be applied and it's set up for you. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because there may be some little movement in it. But Titebond glue is very good to take off when you go to tighten it. Now, I'm going to squeeze it with my hands a couple of times to get it to go down inside. Okay, now I'm going to use this to pull it tight. Ah, you see what happens when you rehearse? I pulled it a bit tighter than I should have done, and now I've got to retrieve the position, and you got to do it gently. You don't want to make a mistake at this stage. Where I have you slid off, that's it there. Oh, I'm okay still. Right, so it shows you, don't it? It shows to go you what can happen. Now you go down there, and I'm going to squeeze you and hold you in position. Now you can see there's still some movement there. So I'm going to put the clamp in. Where are we done with the clamp? Yeah. The screws are there deliberately as well to stop the clamp from rising up above the wood because it's on an angle. You've got about 20 minutes to work with this stuff, so it's not a mad panic. So okay, so I'm going to put some pressure on now to close that crack, and I don't want to put too much pressure on, as you can imagine why. Right, there's nothing moving. There's nothing moving, right? When I squeeze it with my hand, that's solid. And just put some glue down in there. It'll do no harm. There's a little hole there. Right, so when I push it with my hand and I rub my hand along the top there, it's nice and level. There's nothing there. So now I'm going to get a little bit of tissue to wipe that with. And it's going to sit there till tomorrow because I'm not going to move it because it's a fussy little thing to move. Because you move it and you might cause an accident and it slips off again. So it's going to stay there. And I'm just going to do another test. What's the test I'm going to do? I'm going to squeeze. Yeah, and nothing's coming. A tiny bit there. Let me just. Still a tiny bit. I don't want to crack anything. I'm terrified of cracking something of the. Oh, that's it now. Right, that's it, really solidly pushed together. But I'd be afraid of cracking something down here. Right, okay, that's it. Now that's going to sit for 48 hours if I don't knock it off. And in 48 hours, I'll just zoom you down on it. That's it. Go down to there. Train your camera down to there, boy. Can you see it? Yes, you can. And in 48 hours, I'm hoping to be able to release that. So, see you later. Despite the fact that I love tight bond, I'm always nervous about giving it something that may be too much for it. So, this is now 72 hours later and I'm just about to release the demons to see where we are. I'm unscrewing the clamp now to take it away and doing it gently and see what we got. Right, come on. I don't hear it going snap, crackle or pop, mind you. Oh, come on, machine. That's it. Now, release the demons and then open it up. And it hasn't gone snap, crackle and pop, and it stayed very nice. I'm tempted because there's no, it looks like it's a natural polish on it. I'm actually tempted, I'm just going to clean it up, but I'm tempted to do nothing with it. But it feels great, you know. So that's that part of it done. And the next part's going to be the face and all this here. The face and all this here, and that's going to be a separate video doing the face, the fretboard and the head done. So that's it for now, but come back for another exciting installment. Yo! Alright, cheers, bye.